more than 50 years, actors graced this stage, but now because of the pandemic, that chapter is closing.
Oh, you are in trouble now!
This year's shows were completely booked up for Chaffin's Barn Dinner Theater, but then COVID-19 arrived.
It's a big loss for the acting community.
Brian Russell says he got his start here, and he's still around 40 years later. Today he stopped by, picking up photos of himself hanging on the walls.
It's just going to be a terrible loss for the acting community as a whole, the theater community as a whole, because it just meant so much.
Other photos line the walls here.
And these are some of the original pictures of the barn, as you can see.
Owner Norma Luther owns this place, going on 5 years now.
It was in pretty rough shape when I got it. I mean, it was, 50 years old at that time, 55 now. But I just knew that it was a real gem.
But when the pandemic hit...
I've gone 7 months with zero revenue, the barn has, and paid all the bills and everything else. And very few businesses can survive that.
So they're packing up props, decorations, kitchen supplies, everything. Plus, giving out refunds.
I've done nothing but write checks, 10 more today, refunding all the tickets and season members and gift cards.
But despite the hardship, Norma keeps a positive attitude, saying she feels like the relationships she's fostered along the way makes it all worth it.
Our legacy was love, equality. Anybody could perform, it didn't matter.
And she adds she hopes someone can come along and save this theater.
We got a lot of big music stars that come here and have visited us, hint, hint, and I think it'd be great for one of them to pick it up and perform on occasion.
Something the performers echo.
If this is the last hurrah for the old girl, I'm going to miss it terribly.
This place will be up for sale after October 15th. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on the sale.
Pandemic is a beatdown that just won't stop for the hotel industry. In fact, a recent report lists Tennessee as one of the states that could see the most hotel closures as a result. Fox 17 News' Kathleen Surrey is asking members of Tennessee's congressional delegation where they are on a second relief bill.
The Studio 154 boutique hotel had only been open for about a year in downtown Nashville before the pandemic. Operations manager Heidi Maxson says everything changed in mid-March.
We were told, okay, we can survive. We have enough budget for 3 months. Because again, we were told in the beginning that it will last about 2 weeks.
But we all know that wasn't the case, and soon this once profitable 16-room hotel was reduced to one reservation a week. Maxson estimates they've lost around $300,000 worth of business in 2020.
It's been a major hit, especially for cities like Vegas or Nashville or Orlando, where some of our main source of income is tourism.
But with Nashville transitioning into phase 3 and the glimmer of tourism returning to Music City, she's trying to look on the bright side.
Hopefully with the Opry opening, because that opens tomorrow, and with bars and restaurants being able to have up to 100 people per floor, that will help encourage people to come and start back coming to Nashville.
But some of the reports out there aren't as optimistic. According to the American Hotel and Lodging Association, Tennessee has more than 1,500 hotels. If Congress doesn't pass a bill giving aid to the industry, this organization predicts an estimated 752 hotels would foreclose, and just over 1,000 would have to shut their doors without aid. We reached out to the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. President and CEO Butch Spiriton sent us a statement saying until there's a COVID-19 vaccine, holding smaller meetings at hotels is going to be absolutely critical for the next 3 to 6 months. And just last week, one of Tennessee's U.S. Congressmen, Steve Cohen, sent a letter to national leaders asking them to pass several measures, including one that would give PPP funds to businesses like hotels and gyms so they can get their businesses running again.
Debate over whether the song Dixie should be played during Franklin County High School football games. The school superintendent putting the song on hold, calling it offensive. But as Fox 17 News' Rachel Teedy shows us, some members of that community want it back.
Franklin County is not only deciding whether or not to keep their mascot, the Rebels, but also playing the Dixie song. But the future of one could be tied to the future of the other. A Franklin County woman, Tanya Hill, spoke to the school board a couple weeks ago and plans to again, asking for the board members to reinstate the Dixie song. She didn't want to speak on camera, but told me she thinks the song should come back.
At least let them do Dixieland at halftime for their March song.
For now, playing the song was put on hold.
I made the decision to ask the band not to play Dixie.
Stanley Bean said the school got rid of the Confederate flag a couple years ago, and the rebel mascot could change too.
You know, if the board decides to do away with the rebel mascot, then I think that pretty much makes it clear that the Dixie would go along with it, would disappear. However, if the board decides to keep the rebel mascot and the rebel name, Dixie may be played again. I don't know.
Shanae Williams thinks reinstating Dixie is a bad idea.
I feel like that is a slap in the face. I feel like that is opening the door back to everything that we're fighting for.
She said it's offensive, and not only because it became known as a Confederate song, despite being written in the North.
The fact that it comes from minstrel, the fact that it was done in blackface.
Tanya told me she wasn't familiar with the minstrel and blackface background. Bean said he doesn't think it should matter.
I would almost guarantee that if you looked at fight songs across the country, a lot of them, people do not know the origination, how they originated, and don't care.
So it remains to be seen what the decision will be. But Bean says regardless, he feels people are anxious to bring these issues to a vote.
I really hate to see this come to our community, regardless of what the outcome is. I think it's going to stir some problems.
There's a workshop scheduled for October 5th, and the mascot discussion is tabled for October 12th. But like Bean said, the future of one could be tied to the future of the other.